We use a kind of secret language to talk about money pretty much every day. And a lot of the time, we don't even realize we're doing it. From bringing home the bacon to being flat broke, our conversations are just packed with these weird, colorful phrases. So today, we're going to decode this hidden language of finance. Oh, I'm sure you've heard this one. It's probably the most classic money idiom out there, right? It's that short, sharp reminder that money is a limited resource. You've got to earn it. You can't just go out and pick it. And believe me, that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the expressions we're going to break down. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get on the same page about what a money idiom actually is. Then we're going to ride the highs, talk about earning, success, all the good stuff. After that, we'll flip the coin and look at the lows, phrases for spending, losing, and even some shady dealings. We'll wrap it all up by looking at our everyday transactions and figuring out what all of this really says about us. Okay, so first things first. What exactly is an idiom? Before we dive into all the money talk, let's just lay a quick foundation so we all know what we're dealing with. And this is the key, right? The word idiom actually comes from a Greek word that means something like a peculiar way of speaking. And that's exactly what they are. They're these funny phrases where the meaning of the whole thing has nothing to do with the individual words. If you try to figure them out literally, you're going to be completely lost. All right, let's kick things off with the good times. When the money's flowing and life's looking up, our language gets really creative and descriptive about all that success. This one's a classic. It just has that warm, satisfying sound to it, doesn't it? But what are we really talking about when we say someone is bringing home the bacon? Well, it's pretty simple. It just means you're earning a salary, making a living, especially to support a family. It's about doing the work that puts food on the table. And historically, bacon was a really prized, valuable food, so the expression just stuck. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I love how we borrow the language of massive wealth to talk about something totally different, like how a person looks or feels. See, what this really shows us is how our brains instinctively connect high monetary value with high personal value. It's not about having $1 million, it's about feeling as incredible as $1 million sounds. And of course, the list keeps on going. You've got the gravy train, which is that dream job that pays a ton for very little effort. A really profitable business is called a cash cow, just constantly generating revenue. And then there's being born with a silver spoon in your mouth, which, let's be honest, is usually said with just a little bit of envy or resentment. Okay, but it's not all cash cows and gravy trains, right? For every high, there's a low. The language of money has a dark side too, one that describes hardship, overspending, and some pretty dishonest behavior. You can just feel this one. It's so direct, so harsh. There's no mistaking what it means. You can almost feel the emptiness in those two little words. Yeah, it means you have absolutely nothing left. And this example is just perfect because it's so real. When you can't even afford the cheapest meal out there, you know you're flat broke. Have you ever had that feeling where you feel like you're just being completely ripped off? Like someone is stealing from you right in front of your face? Well, you guessed it. There's an idiom for that. It's that feeling of just pure outrage when a price is so ridiculously high that it feels illegal. It's not just pricey, it's a crime. And that example, well, it pretty much says it all. $12 for one beer. I mean, just seeing the number by itself like this, it hits different, doesn't it? It feels less like a price tag and more like evidence in a crime. That, my friends, is highway robbery. Okay, now this comparison is fantastic, and it's really important. Balancing the books and cooking the books sound almost the same, but oh my gosh, they are worlds apart. One is just responsible legal accounting. The other, that's fraud. Cooking the books means you're faking your financial records to fool people, and that is a recipe for serious disaster. All right, so let's bring it back down to earth a bit. Let's move away from corporate crime and talk about something we all deal with. The simple act of paying for stuff in our daily lives, because, you guessed it, that has its own unique language too. Just picture this. You're out for dinner with friends. First, someone might suggest you go Dutch, which means everybody just pays for their own meal. Simple. Or maybe one generous friend offers to pick up the tab for everyone. But if it was a fancy place, they might have to fork over a pretty big chunk of change, maybe a little more than they expected. See? 3 idioms all in one simple meal. And, after all that talk about spending money, we should probably talk about saving it. This might be one of the most famous pieces of financial advice of all time.
A simple but really powerful reminder that not spending money is a form of earning it.
And this is really part of a whole family of little nuggets of financial wisdom that get passed down. We're always told to save for a rainy day, which means putting money aside for an unexpected emergency. And when things get tough, well, we all have to tighten our belts, cut back on spending, and live a little more simply for a while. So after exploring the highs, the lows, and the everyday, what's the big picture here? What does the secret language we use for money really tell us about our culture? When you stop and think about it, the sheer number of these phrases shows just how central money is to, well, everything. We use financial terms to describe our feelings, our successes, our failures. Our language is like a mirror, and it's reflecting a world where money has a huge amount of power. And that really brings us to the final, and maybe the most powerful idiom of all, money talks. It's a simple phrase, but it means that wealth gives you influence, that it can open doors and make things happen. It's kind of a cynical take on the world, but it's often true. So I'll just leave you with this one question. What do you think? Does it?